Welcome to Phil Phails. My name is Phil Jones, and this is another status update. I'm wrapping up a 5-day filming session. I had 5 different guests these 5 days. I had, who do I have? I had Craig Tenet, the shadow work facilitator. I had Grant Potts, the philosophy book club. I had 2 co-owners from Studio Satya, Carly and Holly, Carly Lemus and Holly Metter. And I had Ashley Eaves, a registered dietitian and functional nutritionist, gut specialist, and personal trainer. Is that all of them? Craig, Grant, Holly, Carly, and Ashley. That's it. I wrapped those up today. Well, actually just now. And so I'm doing a little follow-up, a little update. I want to talk about 3 things. Number 1, I want to talk about how everything's going, what's going on in Phil Phails' world. I also want to talk about, something I want to rant about. I want to rant about something. I want to rant about the mental health industry as it relates to kids. My child is 13 and she's been kind of immersed in this mental health space for a while now. And I got some complaints. I want to share them with you guys. And then I also want to talk about things that are coming up in the future. So we're going to cover those 3 things. 1 is a status update. 2 is complaining about the mental health industry and children. And 3 is what's coming up in the future. All right, so let's just kick it off. Status update. Man, I am excited about everybody that I've been interviewing. This channel is about mind, body, and spirit, and I've been exploring that and gathering folks around me to help me with that journey. I've got folks that are agreeing to come on with more frequency, so I should be able to develop relationships with people with more depth. And I'm really excited about that. I want to have like kind of relationship arcs through the show so that there's more comfort and familiarity and like kind of intimacy on the show so that we get comfortable with each other, we get used to each other, and we start to talk in a more natural way. Sometimes when you interview someone for the first time, can be some guards up or some walls up, and over time, a comfort level sinks in. I think I have that with Grant Potts and our philosophy book club. I'd like to have that with more people. So I'm reaching out to folks to have these like longer relationship arcs. So I'll have them on more frequently. A couple people have said yes to that. David Beaver is one of them. He's we're going to go over some chapters of his book, The Politics of Language. We went over neutrality was the last episode we did with David Beaver, but we're going to go over resonance, which is the first chapter of this book. And I'm going to engage him to go over maybe all of the chapters of this book so we can really learn about the politics of language from a professor of linguistics, a professor of philosophy, and the director of cognitive science program at UT. I've talked to the registered dietitian, Ashley Eaves, about coming on and supporting me in my journey to optimal fitness and optimal health from a nutrition, movement, sleep perspective, and really a holistic perspective, a functional perspective that incorporates lifestyle, community, mindset, spirituality. It really just encompasses all of that mind, body, and spirit. I'm really excited to have a long conversation with her that unfolds over time. Where am I at? So what I basically do now is I work out and I work on the show. I got my kids every other weekend and I focus on them when they're here, but when they're not here, I'm working out. I'm focusing on my body and my fitness, movement, and mindfulness, and I'm editing the show and releasing the show. It's kind of been an exercise in self-soothing, navigating the kind of the depression and sadness that came from the transition from having my daughters 50-50 to having them every other weekend, which is a recent change. And the change brought a lot of sadness and a big void in my life that it was difficult to sit with. This is all partially an effort to utilize this time in the best way, to invest in myself, to get myself in an optimal place in life, both physically, mentally, and spiritually, mind, body, and spirit. So I think I'm doing a good job at that. I'm going to continue doing that. I work out. I do fundamentals with Ashton on Monday twice for 2 hours. Then I do strength and conditioning with Cameron for another hour. On Tuesdays, I do yoga at 9 up at Studio Satya. And then I do yoga at 12 with Brittany up at Crux. And then I do strength and conditioning with Ryan. And then on Wednesday, I do yoga at 9 at Studio Satya. I'm going to do a dynamic circuit with Will at Crux. And then I'll do strength and conditioning again with Cameron at 5:30. Then on Thursday, I'm doing more of that yoga at 9. That's like 9 a.m. yoga, I think, is a good pattern and routine with me. Starting my day with stretching, starting my day with yoga. It's mindfulness. I think it's a really great way to start the day, and I'm excited to continue that practice. Thursdays, I'll start the day with 9 a.m. yoga. I'll do the 12 yoga with Brittany, and then I'll do a 5:30 strength and conditioning class with Ryan. Fridays are kind of a grab bag. I'll probably do bouldering with a crew that I like to boulder with, and I'll also do handstand class with Sam. Loving doing the handstand stuff. Saturday is kind of a grab bag. I want to get back to riding bikes, cycling with the Bicycle House crew Saturday mornings at 7, and then perhaps doing the dynamic circuit up at Crux with Madeline at 10:30. And then kind of playing the rest of the weekend by ear, maybe running with my daughter, maybe more cycling, trying to kind of be fluid with how movement looks or what movement looks like for Sunday. But it could just be a rest day too. That's what movement's like throughout the week. Diet, I'm doing keto. I'm eating protein and fat. I'm not eating a lot of carbs. The things that are in my diet are like eggs, ground pork, ground turkey, chicken breasts, pork belly. There's vegetables like onions, celery, zucchini, broccoli, cauliflower. I do that mostly as cauliflower rice, garlic, Brussels sprouts could be in there, cabbage. The fats I'm using are coconut oil, coconut butter, avocado. I'm doing grass-fed butter. I'm also doing like kimchi and sauerkraut, as well as pickles for like fermented foods. I've been doing that for more than a month now, and I feel good. I like the results. I'm still dialing it in though, trying to figure out what to eat and when, and that brings me to the intermittent fasting. I'm doing the intermittent fasting as well. Most days I do a 16-8. I'll fast for 16 hours, and I'll have an 8-hour window where I eat. On Mondays, I fast the whole day. So from Sunday night at 8 until Tuesday around 1 or 2, I'm not eating. Unless my body says you need to eat something, I fast for Mondays. So I'm fasting 1 day out of the week. This plan isn't forever. It's what I'm doing now. I've learned a lot about autophagy, growth hormone, T cell production, testosterone, resetting the gut biome. I've learned a lot about just the benefits of fasting, as well as the benefits of ketosis on the mind, on emotional resilience, and kind of your mood. And so I'm messing around to find out, and I've been doing it for about a month and a half, maybe a little bit more than that now, and I'm enjoying it. I've found myself into a routine. So that's kind of what I've been doing. And next, I want to rant a little bit about the mental health industry as it pertains to kids. This is really more for kids than it is for adults. It's more for kids than for adults. Adults can choose what they do. They have a lot of autonomy. They've got a lot of control over their life. Kids don't. Kids pretty much have to do what their parents tell them to do, or they're set up for success by their parents, by the people in their life, by professionals, mental health professionals, medical professionals, and their parents. These are the people that put out the roadmap for them. What they eat is basically what their parents buy and what they provide. What they're prescribed is navigated by the mental health industry, the medical industry. All of these people are kind of controlling these children's lives. And I've got some complaints about this. My daughter's been in and out of residential treatment centers, mental health units, ER, PHP, which is partial hospitalization program, IOP, intensive outpatient program, and navigated a lot of like these external services like, therapists and family therapists. And I got some complaints, y'all. I think this system is broken. I don't think it's working for these kids. It certainly doesn't seem to be working for my kiddo. And here's why. Number one, consistency and continuity of provider. Seems like every step of this thing, my daughter sees a new provider, a new therapist, a new psychiatrist. All these people have different ideas about health and wellness. All these people have different ways of looking at mindset and therapy. And every time she switches the therapist, she needs to develop and build another relationship with the therapist. This takes time, and she's just being passed from one to the next every time she goes from a residential treatment center to a partial hospitalization program to an IOP to all of these. She just goes from therapist to therapist, from psychiatrist to psychiatrist. Each one has their own ideas of diagnosis. Each one has their own ideas about what they should be prescribing her. I think continuity and consistency of care should be a priority for these kids so they can develop relationships with people that span time, so they can have, a consistency. I think that's really important, that we have people in our lives that can support us and be there for us, that we can count on as we navigate some of these challenging things, these challenging emotions, these challenging kind of coping strategies, these maladaptive coping strategies. And this brings me to number two. I think pharmaceuticals should not be prescribed when they're prescribed. I do not think we should start with pharmaceuticals. I don't think we should start with medication. Kids come in, we're like, let's give them a bunch of drugs. All these drugs have side effects that are what we're trying to mitigate. You look at the side effects of the drugs that are prescribed. It's anxiety. It's disruption of the sleep. It's, depression. It's all the things that we want to kind of solve in our kiddos. And when you combine them, when I look at interactions between these drugs, it even gets worse. The drugs interact together to exacerbate the very things we're trying to mitigate. And they prescribe all these things before going to the functional and holistic place of nutrition and diet, movement, sleep hygiene. I think these three things are medicine. Nutrition and diet, sleep hygiene, and movement are very important. And these have no bad consequence. There's no negative side effect to dialing in nutrition, to dialing in movement, to have a consistent movement routine and ritual in these children's lives, so that they can like process and move through difficult emotions, difficult experiences. And sleep is so important. These are foundational pillars of human health. But do we get any prescription for any of those? No. No one shares what nutrition should look like for my daughter. No one shares what movement should look like for my daughter. No one shares what sleep should look like for my daughter. Those are things that are handled by the household. The household gets to dictate that with no recommendations or prescriptions from the mental health and medical professionals throughout this system. But what is definitely prescribed that's agnostic of household are the drugs. Buy the drugs, give your kids the drugs, and then your kids are kind of a zombie part of the day, and it's just like we're in this world where they're going to be on drugs for an indefinite amount of time. There's no into that. It's just like, we're going to put them on a bunch of drugs and we're going to keep messing with those drugs until we get some kind of result. I don't think we've seen a positive result yet. And we never tried nutrition, movement, and sleep. I don't think we looked at the environment. If a rose doesn't bloom, if a rose is struggling, if the leaves are different colors, you don't monkey around with the rose. You don't pull on the bud. You don't go and mess with the rose. You mess with the environment that the rose is in. How much water? Is it too much, too little? What kind of nutrients are in the soil? That's what I think we should be doing with my daughter. That's what I think we should be doing with all these kids. But we can't do that. There's no function in this world that looks at the environment and gives prescriptions to the environment to support these kiddos. Oftentimes, it's probably parents that need support, whether it's co-parents that need support working together, developing trust and transparency, honesty, authenticity, and communication across households so there can be consistency and continuity across households. Or individual parents, parenting coaching, or all of these things so they can develop good habits and practices for themselves and then for the household. Prescriptions of nutrition, movement, and sleep should be for the person, for the kiddo, not for the household to dictate. And if they're going to dictate it, at least they'll have some guidelines and some support. I feel a lot of the stuff is very promising that's coming out of nutritional psychiatry. There's a lot of promising stuff about diet and the gut and it being your second brain and how it impacts mood, how it impacts your mind, your cognition. This is stuff that's just overlooked in a clinical environment. I think functional, holistic is the way to go, but it just doesn't seem like I'm not finding anybody in the system that agrees with me and is willing to play ball and support my daughter, starting with functional medicine, functional nutrition, lifestyle changes that can impact her overall health. I'm just so frustrated with it. And I don't know what to do, to be honest. I feel hopeless. I feel helpless. I feel like I'm screaming at the top of my lungs things that should be no-brainers. Physical health. It starts with physical health. It starts with mental health. That's like what you put in your body, how you move your body, and how you're giving your body rest. Developing these coping strategies that are helpful. I mean, they do that piece. They're doing that piece. But I think it's much more important what you put in your body. You are what you eat. And these kids eat what's provided to them, what's modeled to them. It took me forever to get the PHP just to give a recommendation regarding ADHD and these mood medications and how they play with caffeine and energy drinks that my daughter was being provided. I had to demand and over and over say I want y'all to step in on this. And the first messages I got back were, oh, that's household related. Households dictate that. And I'm like, no, that's medical. That's a medical recommendation. Do we mix these medicines with caffeine and energy drinks? Should my child be drinking energy drinks and high milligrams of caffeine every day in a world where they struggle from anxiety? In a world where sleep is really important? I get real passionate about this. It's difficult for me. This is one of the things I'm learning to live with and kind of move through. All right, that's the second thing. Ranting about the mental health industry and children. The third thing is, where are we going? We're going to keep working on those things for me. We're going to work on nutrition and diet for me, finding a diet and a lifestyle that works. That means, what am I eating? Calories, macros. I'm going to start doing more with food logs and counting calories. I'm also going to do more with counting how much water I drink every day. The amount of water is really important. I'm also going to look at my movement. Am I overtraining? A lot of the stuff that came out of my interview with Ashley Eaves, the registered dietitian, personal trainer, functional nutritionist, a lot of that stuff's going to move into kind of the next phase. Am I overtraining? Am I training too much? Am I using coping strategies that are calming so that I'm dealing with stress in a healthy way? Am I, getting good sleep? Not drinking water 2 hours before bed so I'm not waking up to go to the bathroom so I can get that full night's sleep uninterrupted. I'm going to work on mindset with, mindfulness folks. I'm going to keep working on spirituality. This yoga stuff has really blown up for me in a positive way. Looking into Ashtanga yoga and the 8 limbs of yoga. The 8 limbs, the yamas and the niyamas and the pranayama and asana. All this leads to this enlightenment and this way of being that seems really beneficial and impact my spirit, giving me spirituality, but also giving my mind and body nourishment. My mind thing, I'm really excited about learning more about philosophy with Grant Potts, as well as talking with David Beaver, going over the politics of language, and the new book that Grant and I are going to pick. We haven't picked it yet, but we're going to pick a new book, and we're going to start another series of the Philosophy Book Club. I'm really excited about that. I got all these angles where I'm learning in mind, body, and spirit, and it's invigorating. The one thing I don't know yet is how to make money off of this endeavor. That's uncertainty, and it brings some amount of stress that I'm moving through. I have been doing this for about a year now, over a year really, but I released my first video on YouTube on April the 7th. That was the first video I released. And I don't know how long it's going to take to start monetizing this and making this a career, but that's what I'm moving towards. I really want to provide this type of content as a part of my career and as a part of my lifestyle. And man, if anybody has any feedback or any comments or concerns or any kind of like helpful tips, I'm all ears. I can't do this forever for free. I need to figure out a way to bring in money so that this supports my mortgage, my food, my kids, my insurance. There's a lot of stuff that goes along with living. And if I can't find an audience and a way to monetize this isn't going to be around for forever. I hope this is helping folks. I hope that exposing people to mind, body, and spirit content is something that has value. So let me know. Like, comment, and subscribe. It really helps me. It really helps my channel. And yeah, thank you so much. I'm going to sign off now. I got to go work out. Peace, y'all. This has been Phil Phails status update on, what is this? April the 2nd. It's April the 2nd. Yeah. The end of another filming block. 5 days of filming. I'm really excited. Let's get it. Peace, y'all.